Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is King Lion, and we did just get our first look at Necromancy. Now you can just put this on in the background. You don't have to watch the video if you don't want to. I will be showing images here and there, but it won't be the whole duration of the video. Now Necromancy is going to be a very different skill, something we've never seen before, obviously, but it's a hybrid kind of skill. This kind of caters to everyone. Lore hunters, PMers, skilling, and even just the casual player. Now, that's very different, and that's going to be very complex and very hard for Jagex to execute very, very well. And from what I've seen and from what I heard of the clip itself, in concept, this is a great idea, and I really hope it's successful. Now, the combat system is going to be very, very different. It's kind of like summoning, but it's also like magic. It's a mix of both. Now, with combat, you're going to be spawning a skull or skulls to assist you in fighting other NPCs or bosses, something along those lines. Now, from what I was watching on the clip itself, didn't really seem too crazy as far as overpoweredness goes for just AoE damage or making them too strong to where they're doing more damage than the actual person themselves is doing, i.e. you. Now, that could be very, very cool and very, very nice for people who are wanting to ease into getting the PvM aspect of RuneScape down. Obviously, there's a very specific niche of people who just purely like combat portion of RuneScape, whereas there's definitely a whole other spectrum of players who purely like the skilling or just love the lore. With the summoning aspect of it, of summoning NPCs to assist you in killing other NPCs, it could be very, very overpowered, and that has me a little worried because that could be seen as a crutch. Now, one of the biggest things that they've been talking about recently is the crutch aspect of people not being able to learn how to do switches or how to do tick manipulations where it's going to benefit them in a specific split second to maybe do a shield swap or something along those lines. This could be a great thing, but it could also be a very, very bad thing. Now, if you want to just ease into the PvM aspect, obviously with armor over time, it's gotten stronger and the bosses have kind of stayed the same. There really hasn't been any increase in their health or whatnot. So you can AFK quite a bit of bosses. However, you typically need high end tier gear. Now, one really cool thing that they did talk about was using the armor from level 1 Necromancy to level 90 without having to purchase armor. Now, that's really cool. I've never seen them do it. How they're going to implement it, I'm very curious to see, because for you to upgrade the armor, obviously that's a form of smithing or crafting, depending on how you want to look at it. I think that could be really great because most high tier armor cost a lot of money. I'm talking for a full setup, easily a bill, if not over, for a very, very good set or even tier 90s. So for them to be able to allow you to upgrade yourself without needing all this extra stuff and not having to purchase it on the GE or from other players is kind of cool. I'm all for it. It's a great way for the average player to kind of get into it without needing a couple billion GP to be able to access the high-end tier stuff. Now, they did say that there will be a boss that will drop tier 95 instead of tier 90. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to go too. And I wonder if it's going to be super overpowered to where it's going to be super click intensive, or it's going to be laid back and chill, or in between. I'd prefer the in between, but obviously high-end tier armor for a high-end tier boss, usually click intensive, at least learning it. So we'll have to wait and see, and kind of looking forward to it. Now, the skilling system seems very interesting. It seems like it's a mix of rune crafting mixed with summoning mixed with sweeping. I don't know. They didn't really cover this too much. It seems very interesting as well, just because I don't know how they're going to do it without having a combat implementation of it. You're just sweeping, and I can't imagine that would give you too much XP compared to combat. They did say that this skill will be leveled relatively quickly for people who want to go to 120 or even 200 mil in it. That's a little disappointing. I hope that this skill isn't way too fast to the point where if you just do it naturally, you're going to be 120 in a week or so. Obviously, you're going to want to grind that out over time and not just 100% purely focus on it, because if you're constantly summoning things and just chilling at, let's say, God Wars Dungeon 2, for instance, you're going to get that to 99 or even 120 really, really quickly, especially if you spend a couple hours on the game every single day. But you do have that option available to you to where you can just purely skill. You don't have to do any form of combat, is what they're saying. Kudos to them to being able to cater to a large majority of the player base itself. That's something we've never seen before, and I'm very curious to see how they're going to implement into the game. So if they do it great and they execute it very well, kudos to you, Jagex. I'm looking forward to it. Now, how will this affect you? This could be a great thing if you've been wanting to learn bossing and kind of get into that high tier PVM. As I said, this could be a huge crutch for a lot of players as well. Could potentially take the grindy aspect out of the game as far as learning switches and learning rotations for certain combat styles and combat methods. Now, one of the cool things is they did say that the skill will be raising the level cap from level 138 to 152. So I'm curious to see how that's going to go too. Now, obviously 138 is very nostalgic. 138's been the level cap since 06 game, and it's always been that way. So for them to kind of raise that cap a little bit, I don't know how I feel about that. It could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, but I don't think it's going to play that big of a factor into the game itself. Other than that, this skill could be a very great way for you to learn more about RuneScape that maybe you've just been wanting to, or just don't have the time to learn a new rotation, or you don't have the time to really figure out how all these high-end tier PVMers kind of just do these insane rotations on these builds. You constantly see people on Twitch or anything like that live streaming the game, and they're getting 30-second kills on a high-end tier boss that, in other words, you try and you die almost instantly. So this could be a great mix. I'm very much looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great skill. Hopefully they execute it on it well. But this is my thoughts and my thoughts alone. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm very curious to see what you guys think of it. If you guys watched the live stream or didn't watch the live stream, obviously we'll have more information soon, I'm sure. However, in the meantime, your guess is as good as mine, but the skill looks very promising. With that being said, hope you all enjoyed the video. But until next time, happy scaping, and ciao.